Ghosts and paranormal activity. Is it real? How can you tell? This is Woo Woo Wednesday. I'm Dr. Jane, and I'm joined by the beautiful Devi Jade. Hello, Jade.
Hi, nice to see you guys again.
So we were just talking about some of the questions that people ask Jade most often. And one of them is like, I'm feeling negative energy around me, or I feel like there's a presence with me. Is this real? Is it just me? So I said, well, hey, let's talk about it. That sounds like a Woo Woo Wednesday to me.
Right, and I'm going to just tell you, so it is real. We've come to this thing of like, if we turn on Netflix or we turn on Hulu or we turn on some program, we have to watch that particular thing with some paranormal people, that is the way it's supposed to be. Or you can go into, I don't know, YouTube or whatever, and these people are like ghost hunting or whatever. Yeah, I mean, everything is here, right? It really is like a looking glass going from one place to the other. And I am with it all the time. In fact, it's to the point where when I do any kind of divine meditations, they're always channeled. People there's this little, like the movies we used to watch, like a white noise. It's with me a lot. So
It's with you right now.
Yeah, it's with me. I was telling her, I said, sorry, it's just kind of happening lately. And sometimes the recordings on Zoom will not record only for that time that I'm doing the divine channeling, because I've got so much paranormal activity.
Yeah, really, right before we started recording, I was like, Jade, your microphone's fuzzy. Every single time you start speaking, it's like, whoosh, whoosh, and she's like, yeah, that's just me right now. Sorry.
I know, it's true. And it's like, well, didn't you have that around you before? I don't know. They're getting more, people can hear it more, and which is very interesting. In fact, I was with a couple people last week on Friday, and I was helping one of my friends. She was having, if you guys didn't have it, it was like major meltdown Friday last day. And this woman never cries. So I was with her. She gathered her friends in, and of course they were popping the beers. And sometimes I will tell you, with paranormal activity, be careful, because when you do get a little bit 3 or 4 sheets to the wind, they're like, I'm going to tap them on the shoulder. And if you
so like sometimes if people have a little, too much substance one way or the other, you think that some of the things that they kind of brush off as, oh no, I just drank too much. You think some of those are actually the paranormal, like having fun, or they're more open to seeing?
I would say be more open.
Okay.
So what happened is she just literally said, oh my God, you had so many people and they're still coming. I said, yeah, I know. It's fine. I'm used to it. So it's just kind of a normal thing for me.
Well, I mean, it is. When we were in Bali together in 2019, I know you had mentioned that there were several following you around, and they kind of did that and they attract you. And I mean, you're not, let's just say what everybody's thinking, Jade, you're not normal. So like,
I'm paranormal.
you're paranormal. So what about folks who are like, they really do, they feel that presence, or I've had several experiences where I knew who was with me. I knew the spirit that was with me. It wasn't scary for me. I've been visited by family members as they left their bodies. If I wasn't with them at that time, I've been visited, awakened by them, received their love as they passed on. I've had experiences like that. I've always been really comfortable with it, never really questioned it. But what about people who are like, man, no, must have just been that weird thing that I ate last night?
That's again where, as you get to where you decide you're going to do a spiritual walk or whatever, and that's not to say, again, please, everyone is spiritual. It's just that where you want to be in your life, and they start feeling things a little bit more, or you have people that, really are kind of naturally predisposed to that, and they kind of push it off anyway, and then all of a sudden it comes slamming into their face. It really is just, it comes down to what you want to experience. So what you're experiencing, the thing is, like I said, it's really just like this split screen that we have, it's that close. because ultimately it's an illusion what we're doing, right? It's energy that's crossing over. And I love the movies like Ghost and that, because that, it really is like that. If they know that you are there, it's like, oh my gosh, this person can actually feel me. So they're going to do what they can to push through a little bit more. But I'm going to tell you something, you guys. They're not going to come into your mirror and go, boom. They're not going to do. They're not going to do that.
Do they have senses of humor? And I actually, that's kind of a loaded question, but I want, before I tell you why I asked that, like, I want to know what you think.
Absolutely. In fact, I was doing a session for a really beautiful client the other day, and one of her family members passed away a while back. And that guy was so funny. They're not all stoic going, please send me to the light. What may I do for you? They're not like that. They're them who you knew here. And this guy was so freaking hilarious. And she knew it was him because that was his personality. So yeah.
Very cool. So it was a couple of months ago. My 12-year-old daughter was at her dad's house. Her dad, as you know, her dad and I are divorced. And she called me, and she was a little freaked out, but laughing as well. And I mean, for everybody, Jade knows my 12-year-old daughter, like so she gets her. Her name's Holland. So she was kind of freaked out and kind of laughing. And she said, did grandma, so my mom died when my daughter was 3, in 2010. And actually the day after my daughter turned 3. And so she remembers her a little bit, but not a lot because she was 3. But she said, Mama, did grandmama, my mom, like to vacuum? And I said, well, she vacuumed, but I don't know if she liked to vacuum. Why? And she said, well, my dad said something about her that he didn't say something that was really bad, but he just kind of like made an off-color remark about my mom to my daughter. And a vacuum cleaner that was not plugged in powered up and surged forward just a little bit and like totally freaked him out. And she was like, did grandma like to vacuum? Because I'm pretty sure that was her. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was her. And I wouldn't say she liked to vacuum, but I'm pretty sure she liked to run over him with a vacuum.
Oh, I guess she should use one of those Eurekas. Yeah, no, that's good. I was thinking about, there are a lot of podcasts right now out there that they do the paranormal, and some of them like invite people in so they can tell their stories. And I would say this to you guys, please don't be afraid, because mostly people on the other side are not attempting to spook you, scare you. And I think that we are way more dramatic than what they are. And because I'm thinking of some of the stories I was listening to as I was driving along for a long time, going on a fam vacation. And I knew exactly what was going to happen before the person said it out, even on the story. And the people I was riding with, like, how did you know that? I'm like, you guys know me, I do this stuff. I do it all the time. And it was exact. And even though that person had gotten closure and everything in the story, I could still feel that person's spirit and what they were thinking and where they were coming from and why they were doing what they were doing. So that's another thing all layered on top of what we're talking about. So to simplify it, because coming back around, it's like, so what do you do if you feel that? Or what do you do if you think it's negative? First and foremost, don't think it's negative, okay? That's the first thing. Secondarily, please don't get your sage out and start wafting everything in the room. I mean, just get calm, breathe, and if you're not liking it, just say, this isn't okay with me. I don't do that sort of thing, and that's that. Third of all, you can make the choice to come to a reputable medium. That doesn't mean you have to pay arms and legs worth of things, but somebody that's very reputable that can, assist you with the message. And fourth, maybe, and most likely, if it is a family member, just talk and say, okay, I would love your help. for whatever it is you need to, but please don't like push things lights on and this and that, because it's just a little bit too much, and in a sign that I understand.
Yeah.
That'll be,
Unless you're chasing my ex-husband around with a vacuum, which is hilarious. He did end up getting rid of that vacuum.
that's a very good one. So yeah, and I would say fifth and foremost, if you do think, oh my gosh, something's really happening, please don't run and start doing all of this magic to bring them forth like the genie out of the bottle. Okay, because when you do that, now you're opening yourself up to a whole bunch of things that you don't want to go into.
You mean like Ouija boards and things like that?
Well, I don't know about spirit boards, so that's why I wasn't saying. I'm just saying, don't start doing all this stuff. I gotta read all the magic that I need to do so that I can really make contact. Don't do all that, because you don't know. You do have people around that like to goof on the other side too, and you may end up connecting with someone that isn't the person that you were meant to connect with. That's what I'm saying. Keep it super simple. Spirituality is always about the simplest thing ever. And
so what if somebody does have an energetic experience with, they're like, they feel another spirit there. What if they're really uncomfortable with it? Should they address the spirit and say, I don't know who you are, or,
I think
but
that
go
was
away?
3 or 4 that I was saying. It's like, if you feel that, and it's like, I'm not feeling very comfortable with this. I did put it in a little bullet point things. I said, I don't feel very comfortable with this. Please don't do this. And then if you're still feeling like, well, maybe they needed a message, that's when you go to somebody that's very, very reputable, or you do your own personal, quietness and say, please give it to me with a sign I understand. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. I will tell you this. Don't go to your local gypsy that's got the 5 hands with all the palm reading, and I charge
like the neon sign that says,
or you call the 1-800
24 hours.
Because the majority of those people will say, oh, they have a curse. You have a curse on you. And that's not true. No.
Maybe that's another Woo Woo Wednesday.
I know, I thought, oh, now we got a subject.
Another one. We're not going to do it today, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be another one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Curses.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next time, next Wednesday.
Yeah, right?
Actually, not next Wednesday, but soon.
That's right. We're mixing them up now.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. If you guys have any questions for me, for Devi Jade, or you just want to say hi, you want to tell her how great her hair looks as usual, then just leave them in the comments, and make sure that you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you next time on our next Woo Woo Wednesday.